She was 75 years old when Suzi Quatro finally spoke the words she had carried for decades. Sitting beneath soft studio lights, her leather jacket folded beside her like an old memory, she leaned forward and confessed the truth about Happy Days, a truth she had guarded behind her fierce confidence and signature grin. For years, fans believed her time as Leather Tuscadero was a triumphant crossover, a golden moment when rock met primetime television. But Suzi's voice shook as she whispered, "It nearly broke me." And what she revealed next would stun everyone who ever loved her iconic character. Long before she became a global rock trailblazer, before the tours, the leather jumpsuits, and the thunder of her bass guitar, Suzi was just Susan K. Quatro, a girl growing up in Detroit, raised in a home where jazz hummed through every doorway and musical instruments filled every corner. She felt rhythm long before she understood fame. Her father, Art Quatro, led a jazz band. Her siblings practiced harmonies around the house, and young Suzi, small but determined, soaked it all in. She learned piano, percussion, anything she could get her hands on. But when she picked up a bass guitar at 14, something inside her clicked. The sound, heavy and raw, felt like her heartbeat. She didn't just play it, she claimed it. By 1964, she and her sisters formed the Pleasure Seekers, one of America's earliest all-girl rock bands. Their energy was wild, their sound was electric, and their refusal to play second to anyone set them apart. Touring the U.S., recording singles, performing to crowds that had never seen young women command the stage like that, she was becoming something rare, something bold. By the late 1960s, the band evolved into Cradle, a heavier, more experimental project that pushed Suzi even further into the spotlight. Her voice was growling, her bass was roaring, and the world began to whisper about the girl who could rock louder than most men in the business. Those whispers reached the ears of British producer Mickie Most, who flew her to England in 1971 and changed her life forever. London was explosive, pulsing with glam rock rebellion. Suzi didn't just fit into the scene, she detonated it. The Can shot to #1 across continents. Then came 48 Crash, Devil Gate Drive, and an entire era defined by her image, leather jumpsuits, powerhouse vocals, and the confidence of a musician who refused to sit quietly in the background. She became a pioneer, inspiring artists like Joan Jett, Debbie Harry, Tina Weymouth, and Chrissie Hynde. But behind the roaring crowds and flashing cameras, fate was preparing a twist she never expected. It came as a simple phone call. The creators of Happy Days wanted her for a role. At first, she laughed, thinking it was a prank. She was a full-time rocker, living out of tour buses, playing to arenas, fighting for credibility in a male-dominated industry. Acting on a sitcom, the idea seemed absurd. But when she heard the character's name, Leather Tuscadero, she froze. It felt like a mirror, a tough girl rocker, with her own band, her own swagger, her own fire. "That's basically me," she admitted later. She had no idea everything was about to change. Her first day on set felt like stepping into another universe. The cast was polished, seasoned, perfect. Suzi felt like the outsider, the rock chick, trying to learn scripted comedy. Henry Winkler, warm and welcoming, pulled her into the fold. Ron Howard made her laugh, but behind the smiles, she felt the pressure mounting. Producers weren't convinced she could act. Some cast members quietly wondered whether she'd fit in. "I studied. I rehearsed. I worked harder than I ever had," she said. "I wanted Leather to be real, not a gimmick." And she succeeded. Fans fell in love with the bold, fiery character, who refused to let anyone define her. But behind the fame, the truth was far darker. Suzi was barely sleeping. She would fly from London to Los Angeles, shoot for a week, then fly straight back into touring. Her voice strained, her body ached, her mind raced. The exhaustion was so intense that she sometimes filmed scenes on pure adrenaline. She was juggling two worlds, terrified of dropping either one. "There were nights I thought I was going to collapse," she admitted. "It nearly broke me physically." And yet another battle raged quietly inside her, one far more personal. She feared losing her identity as a serious musician. She didn't want to become a novelty act. She didn't want the world to forget that, before she was Leather, she was Suzi Quatro, a groundbreaking bassist, a rock rebel, a woman who had clawed her way into a male-dominated world. "My credibility mattered," she said softly. "I didn't want TV to swallow my music." As her character gained popularity, ABC offered her something enormous, a chance to become a full-time series regular, more money, more fame, more exposure, but the cost was something she feared she couldn't pay. Her heart belonged to the stage, to the audiences, to the music that had saved her life since childhood. Turning down the offer was agony, but necessary, and no one knew just how heavy that choice was. According to Suzi, walking away from Happy Days was one of the most heartbreaking decisions of her career, but she did it with grace, letting Leather ride off into the sunset as fiercely as she had arrived. Fans begged for more, producers pleaded, but she held firm, defending the part of herself that had always come first. Over the years, Suzi built a life filled with music, family, and unexpected twists. She married guitarist Len Tucky in 1976, shared a powerful creative bond, raised children, and created a home in a quiet Essex manor that became her sanctuary. Later she remarried German promoter Rainer Haas, weaving her life between England, Germany and Detroit. Through heartbreaks, reinventions, and empty nest loneliness, she kept creating, kept performing, kept pushing forward. And now, at 75, when she revealed the truth about her Happy Days experience, the pressure, the exhaustion, the insecurity, the pride, fans saw, not a scandal, but a woman who survived it all, a pioneer who walked into Hollywood as a rocker, and walked out, still holding her base.